Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. I'm Ty Glenn. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you had a great Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Spending time with your family and friends, like having big dinner, maybe drinking some eggnog, whatnot, and probably watching those 5 NBA games that came on for Christmas. I know I got to watch Spurs and Knicks. That was a great matchup. And then Timberwolves and Mavericks, another great matchup with Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic. And then I, barely saw the Lakers and Warriors game with LeBron and Steph. Always a good matchup in the NBA, especially when LeBron was on the Cavaliers and he and Steph Curry were going at it in the NBA Finals. But anyway, now to the hockey news. So like I said, make sure to follow the Hockey Talk TG podcast on all your podcast streaming platforms. So it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Also make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, along with the TG Hockey channel on YouTube. There will be an NHL Top Moments of 2024 video coming out on New Year's Eve. So make sure you stay up to date on that. But without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started with the news. So we're actually going to recap some of the interesting games from Monday before all the teams went on Christmas break. And we'll start off with Macklin Celebrini's homecoming debut in Vancouver. So, of course, despite the Sharks losing 4-3 in that game, I feel like Macklin Celebrini had a great debut. He had 2 assists in his homecoming debut in Vancouver. He also had 24 minutes and 11 seconds of time on ice, 23 shifts, and 5 shots on goal. And before the game against Vancouver, Macklin Celebrini has said this according to Sportsnet's Instagram post. So he said, skating here when I was younger, trying to put myself in like an NHL player situation and pretend to beat them, and now get to practice here and get ready for the game. It's pretty surreal. And he had a lot of family and friends in attendance. Of course, his brother Aiden, who was drafted by Vancouver in the 6th round, number 171 pick of the 2023 NHL draft. And he's currently playing at Boston University. His father, Dr. Rick Celebrini, who's currently the director of sports medicine and performance for the NBA's Golden State Warriors, he was there. He also worked with the Canucks from 2014 to 2018, and this is what Macklin Celebrini had to say after the game. So he said, it was exciting, a pretty packed building in my home city. It was a cool game to play. 100% is something that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. William Eklund, Cody Ceci, and Luke Cunningham has scored in this game for the Sharks, while Yaroslav Askarov made 20 saves. And the Sharks, they did lose 4-3 in this game, which was their 5th straight game that they lost. They lost 8 of their past 9 games, won 7-1 during the span, and they're 11-20-6 of the season. For the Vancouver Canucks side, Elias Pettersson, he had 2 goals in the game, 44 seconds apart, before leaving early in the 3rd period with an upper body injury, I believe, and he didn't come back. So, don't know how long he's going to be out. I know there was kind of some rumors about him and JT Miller having a little bit of beef, but obviously I think JT Miller will feel bad about that, about Elias Pettersson going down with an injury and not returning to the game. Brock Besser and Kiefer Sherwood scored the other goals for Vancouver. Quentin Hughes, he had 2 assists in the game, while Thatcher Demko made 26 saves. And the Canucks ended a 3-game homestand against the Seattle Kraken Saturday at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And they would play the Kraken again in Seattle on January 2nd, which is... Well, actually, no, never mind. And then for the Sharks, they would start a 6-game homestand against the VGK Vegas Golden Knights Friday at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. All right, so the Sabres went into the Christmas break with a 7-1 blowout win over the New York Islanders. So the Sabres, they finally win a hockey game. And it was their first win going into the Christmas break in over a month. Their last win was on November 23rd, which was a 4-2 win over the San Jose Sharks, which, of course, was Joe Thornton's retirement night, and they lifted his number 19 up to the Raptors at the SAP Center. And with that win, the Sabres moved to 12-19-4 of the season. So it was a Christmas miracle for the Buffalo Sabres heading into the break. I mean, they came into this game on a 13-game losing streak. And, of course, we saw the other night in Buffalo when the Sabres were facing the Maple Leafs, Tage Thompson dropping the gloves with Morgan Riley. So you could tell there was frustration and it was certainly boiling in Buffalo, and they wanted to put this 13-game losing streak to bed, and that's what they did. A performance like that, a 7-1 win over New York Islanders. Of course, Bo Horvath said after that game that was an embarrassing performance for the Islanders. But you got to know the Sabres needed this win, and they wanted to put this thing to bed. They wanted to end it. They want the losing streak to go on, and, that's what they did. Jerry Kulik had 2 goals and 1 assist in the game for a 3-point night, and one of his goals turned out to be the game-winning goal. Rasmus Dahlin certainly played a part in this game, very instrumental, notching 4 assists. And Beck Malstein, Jason Zucker, Zach Benson, Jack Quinn, and Tage Thompson also scored for the Sabres, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen made 27 saves in the win. And for the New York Islanders, Kyle Palmieri, he scored the long goal, while Ilya Sorokin made 18 saves. And the Islanders, they lost 3 of their past 5 games, and they moved to 13, 15, and 17 of the season. And the Islanders faced the Penguins Saturday for a back-to-back home set at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. The Sabres will return home to face the Blackhawks Friday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That game will air on ESPN2, and the Sabres look to, get themselves on a winning streak here. Like, make it two games in a row that they won against the Blackhawks on Friday, which hopefully does not happen because I really want the Blackhawks to win because you guys know I'm a Blackhawks fan. But that's going to be the Sabres' momentum heading to that game against Chicago. So, of course, they took the first meet back in October in Chicago by a score of 4-2, and they look to sweep this season series sweeps against the Blackhawks. All right, moving on to the Penguins and Flyers battle Pennsylvania. And Sidney Crosby, he had a Christmas miracle going into the Christmas break, so he ties Mario Lemieux in assists in Penguins franchise history in the Penguins 7-3 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. So he now has 1,033 assists in 1,308 games in his career. And Mario Lemieux, he played 915 games for the Penguins in franchise history, so he tied him right there with 1,033 assists. And he only needed 3 assists to get it done. Just only 3 assists. He also had a goal for a 4-point night, so he was certainly one of the 3 stars of that game. And the Penguins moved to 16, 15, and 5 of the season. They won 3 of their last 4 games. Rickard Rakell, he had a goal and 2 assists for a 3-point night. Michael Bunting scored twice in the game. Brian Rust, he had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. And then Getty Malkin and Eric Carlson each had 2 assists, while Tristan Jarry made 24 saves. And for the Flyers, Sean Couturier, Noah Case, and Igor Samuel, hopefully I pronounced that last name right, all scored for Philadelphia, while Samuel Ersson made 9 saves before he was replaced by Alexei Kolosov, who made 6 saves in relief. And so Ersson had allowed 5 goals on 14 shots faced in net. The Flyers not looking so good. They lost 4 of their last 5 games, and they moved to 15, 16, and 4 this season. The Penguins head out to Long Island to face the Islanders Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time for a back-to-back home set. And the Flyers continue their 6-game road trip in Anaheim against the Ducks Saturday at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That is the first of a back-to-back set for the Flyers. They will be in LA Sunday to face the Kings at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, so the Hudson River rivalry took place on Monday, which the Devils had a 5-0 shutout win over their rivals, the New York Rangers. Jacob Markstrom made 12 saves in that game, and the Devils moved to 23-11-3 of the season, 5-1-0 in their past 6 games. And so Jacob Markstrom also extends his point streak to 9 games. He is 8-0-1 during that span. And the Devils went 3 for 4 on the power play and a perfect 4 for 4 in the penalty kills. So the special teams certainly played a factor in this one. And this was the Devils' first regular season shutout against the Rangers since Cory Schneider got it done on October 19th of 2013, in which he made 22 saves in the Devils' 4-0 shutout win. In the Devils, they outscored the Rangers 10-1 this season. They scored 5 goals in their first meet at Madison Square Garden, which was a 5-1 win back on December 2nd. And then they now scored 5 Monday in the shutout win over the Rangers. And these two teams will meet again on January 9th at Madison Square Garden. And their final meeting of the season, they'll meet again at Prudential Center. And Jack Hughes, he had a 3.9, getting 2 goals and 1 assist. Currently has 26 points in 22 games played against the Rangers. So 15 goals, 11 assists for 26 points in 22 games played against the Rangers. That is the most among all skaters since he entered the NHL in 2019-2020. And this is kind of what I saw on the Devils' Jumbotron. I mean, so the Devils, they were playing a video of the Rangers fans celebrating Jack Hughes getting drafted to New Jersey. And also they showed Jack Hughes on the Jumbotron, and he kind of had a little smile like this. So I thought that was kind of like a funny, odd move. But hey, I mean, it's your arch rival, so you want to give it. You want to play dirty with them. That's basically all I can say to that. But I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of cool. But obviously Rangers fans would disagree with that. Timo Meyer and Dawson Mercer each had a goal and assist for 2.9 in this one. And Jesper Bratt and Luke Hughes each had 2 assists. Of course, Luke Hughes, he assisted on one of Jack Hughes' goals. So that perfect Hughes and Hughes connection, as you like to call it. And for the Rangers, Jonathan Quick made 24 saves. And the Rangers, we all know that they're struggling this season. They lost 2 straight games, which was, back-to-back games for the Rangers entering on Monday. They're 1-4-0 in their past 5 games, 4-13-0 in their past 17 games, and they're 16-17-1 of the season. Of course, the Rangers did scratch Chris Kreider, so Chris Kreider did not play in that game for the Rangers and was replaced by Johnny Brodzinski. And according to Coach Peter Laviolette, he said that it was a quote-unquote lineup decision. And so the Rangers continue their 3-game road trip in Tampa against the Lightning Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And the Devils play their final game of a 3-game homestand against the Carolina Hurricanes at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, which will be a back-to-back home set for the New Jersey Devils and Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, the Devils started a 6-game road trip in Carolina Saturday. So, back-to-back home set. Always cool to see. Moving on to the Battle of Florida. So Jonas Johansson, he made 36 saves in the Lightning's 4-0 shutout win over the Florida Panthers. So they split the home and a home set right there. So of course Sunday the Panthers won 4-2, and so the Lightning answered back with a shutout win in Sunrise, Florida. This is the 4th career shutout for Jonas Johansson, and the Lightning moved to 19-11-2 this season, and they won. And Jonas Johansson has won 3 straight starts for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Brandon Hagel, he had a goal and assist for 2.9. Nikita Kucherov, Jay Gensel, and Mitchell Shafee also scored for the Lightning in this one, and all 3 of those goals were in the first period. Anthony Cirelli and Victor Hedman each had 2 assists in the game for 2.9. And for the Florida Panthers, Sergei Bobrovsky made 25 saves in the game for the Panthers, and they moved to 21-12-2 coming off of that loss. This was their first regulation loss at home since November 25th against the Washington Capitals. And the Panthers, they continue their 5-game homestand against the Montreal Canadiens Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Tampa returns home for a back-to-back home set against the Canadiens Saturday. I think they play the Rangers Saturday, and then they play the Canadiens Sunday, so I think that's what it is. Rangers Saturday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, and then they will play the Canadiens Sunday at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time. All right, so the World Juniors certainly kicked off yesterday, and it kicked off on a good note. So World Juniors started happening. Of course, it's the best time of the year. If you're a hockey fan, you will always tune into these events. So it's something that every hockey fan looks forward to. And we're going to start off with Team Slovakia versus Team Sweden. Of course, there's 4 games on the slate for yesterday. And Axel Pelika Sandin, he had a hat trick in this game for Team Sweden, and they won 5-2 over Team Slovakia despite getting outshot 34-17. He also had an assist for 4-point night. Rasmus Bergqvist and Linus Eriksson also scored for Team Sweden, and Felix Sorum Unger and Otto Stenberg had 2 assists for Team Sweden, while Melker Deline made 15 saves on 17 shots, faced the net. Hopefully I pronounced these names right. And Dalibor Dvorsky and Daniel Janko scored for Team Slovakia. Of course, Dalibor Dvorsky was drafted by the St. Louis Blues. And Samuel Urban made 29 saves on 34 shots, faced the net. And Team Slovakia plays against Team Switzerland Friday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time, while Team Sweden plays against Team Kazakhstan at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Both games will air on NHL Network and TSN. The Kazakhstan and Sweden game will air at 10 o'clock p.m. Central Time on NHL Network. I don't know why that is, but that's what I saw on the website. Now we're moving on to Team USA versus Team Germany. So James Haggins, he had a 4-point night in Team USA's 10-4 blowout win over Team Germany. So 2 goals, 2 assists for a 4-point night. Gabriel Perreault, he had 2 goals in the game. Ryan Leonard, he had 2 assists in the game. So that line for BU, which of course is Boston University, if you didn't know, certainly went off in that game. And they put on a show in that game as well. Cole Eiserman and Trevor Connolly both had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. And Trey Augustine, who of course was drafted by Detroit Red Wings, currently plays college hockey at Michigan State University. He made 18 saves on 22 shots faced in this game. And for Team Germany, Timo Buxdashel, Julius Sumpf, and David Lewandowski. These are hard names to pronounce, guys. And Lenny Booz scored for Team Germany, while Nico Patuk made 46 saves on 56 shots faced in net. And so Team USA will play Team Latvia Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, while Team Germany plays Team Finland Friday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. And like all the other World Junior games, this will be on NHL Network and TSN for you guys to watch. Now moving on to Team Czechia and Team Switzerland. So Team Czechia, they win their first game against Team Switzerland by a score of 5-1. Jacob Stanshel and Miroslav Halinka each had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. Thomas Galvis had 2 assists in the game, and Edward Sal and Peter Sikora scored for Team Czechia, while Michael Habral made 25 saves on 26 shots faced the net. And Team Czechia will play Team Kazakhstan Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And Team Switzerland will face Team Slovakia Friday at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Alright, so Team Finland versus Team Canada. Last game of the night. So Carter George, he made 31 saves in Canada's 4-0 shutout win over Team Finland. And despite me being American, this had to be my favorite game. I mean, watching Team Canada. And the penalty kill certainly was instrumental in this game, in the shutout win. And Carter George, he put on a clinic in those final minutes of the third period. So I really enjoyed this Team Canada's game against Team Finland, despite being American. I enjoyed Team USA's game too. But Team Canada, as always, is going to be the best team heading into these kinds of tournaments. And so Carter George, he had a 31 saves shutout. 31 saves in this 4-0 shutout win over Team Finland for Team Canada. Matthew Shafir, which I said he's going to be one of the top players to watch in this World Juniors on Monday's episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast. He had a goal and assist for a 2-point night. Easton Cohen, Gavin McKenna, and Luca Penilli also scored in this game. As you guys don't know, Gavin McKenna, he's Connor Bedard's cousin. And he's going to be eligible to play, eligible for the 2026 NHL draft. He plays in the WHL for the Medicine Hat Tigers. I think that's what the team is called. And now he's participating in the World Juniors. Peter Repian made 37 saves on 40 shots faced the net for Team Finland. So despite Team Finland's loss, I feel like Rimpinen put on a great effort for Team Finland. I mean, try to keep the Finns in it, but Canada, as always, well, not always, but most of the time, they're unbeatable. I mean, they're a powerhouse team, so it's going to be tough playing against Team Canada in these kinds of tournaments. So, but I really do like this effort. I mean, I got to give credit to Team Finland where credit's due. I mean, Team Finland was trying to stay in this game. They were trying to get some shots on their power play. Especially in the final minutes, they tried to come up with something huge, trying to break that shutout right there, but they couldn't do it. So I really like what I saw in that game for Team Finland. I'm pretty sure they'll have that same effort when they play Team USA Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. So we'll just have to see. Team Canada, of course, will face Team Slovakia Friday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Now we're going to get back to the NHL side of things. So the Detroit Red Wings, they fired their head coach, Derek Lalonde. They also fired their assistant head coach, Bob Bonner. And Derek Lalonde is the fourth NHL coach to be fired this season. Of course, Jim Montgomery was fired from the Boston Bruins on November 19th. Drew Bannister was fired from the St. Louis Blues on November 24th. And Luke Richardson, he was fired from the Chicago Blackhawks on December 5th. But with that being said, the Red Wings had hired Todd McClellan as their new head coach, and they hired Trent Yarney as their assistant head coach. Of course, Trent Yarney served under the same role as Todd McClellan when he coached the LA Kings from 2019 all the way to 2024. He did coach the LA Kings last season before being fired on February 2nd, and he went 164, 130, and 44 in 5 seasons with the LA Kings, who qualified for the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2022, 2023. Of course, that was a loss to the Edmonton Oilers in each of those rounds. They lost to them in 7 games. But overall, Todd McClellan is 598, 412, and 134 in 1,104 regular season games in his coaching career with the San Jose Sharks, Edmonton Oilers, and LA Kings. He's 42, 46, and 88 Stanley Cup playoff games, and he ranks 6th among active coaches in wins behind Paul Maurice, who has had 891 wins, Lenny Ruff with 876 wins, Peter Laviolette with 823 wins, John Tortorella with 757 wins, and Peter DeBoer with 632 wins. Todd McClellan, he was part of the coaching staff with the Red Wings before. He was assistant head coach for the Detroit Red Wings from 2005 to 2008, which he won a Stanley Cup with the Red Wings in 2008 as an assistant head coach. Derek Lalonde coached the Red Wings for 3 seasons after coming over as an assistant head coach for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which, of course, he's won 2 Stanley excuse me, in which he's won 2 Stanley Cups with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Excuse me, my voice, throat's kind of dry from talking a lot so far through this episode. But, yeah, 89, 86, 23 in 3 seasons with the Detroit Red Wings. He was 13, 17, and 4 at the time he was fired. And the Red Wings, they are 7th in their division. They lost 3 straight games, 2-3-0 in the last 5 games, 3-6-1 in the last 10 games. So the Red Wings, after coming oh so close to making the Stanley Cup playoffs last season, of course, they lost. It was a tiebreaker between them and the Washington Capitals. And they were this close to making the playoffs last season. But the Capitals, just had to come and play spoiler in that one. And so after that, they are having the worst season. And the Red Wings haven't made the playoffs since 2016, in which they haven't made the playoffs since 2016. And Joe Louis Arena was still around at the time. It was still around at the time. Of course, they tore it down, unfortunately. Iconic arena. Well, we were going to say iconic, but electrifying arena, by the way. So, yeah, Mr. Joe. But anyway, they haven't made the playoffs since 2016. So, they were hoping to break that playoff drought last season. They didn't. And they were hoping to break it this season, but they're just having a horrendous start to this season. Special teams, Red Wings, their power play is 11th in the league. The penalty kill is 31st in the league. And their And for the Red Wings, they're averaging 2.56 goals per game, which is 29th in the league, and 3.26 goals against per game, which is 25th in the league. And Tom McCullough, he's going to be making his Red Wings coaching debut Friday against the Toronto Maple Leafs, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And just take a look at the other 4 games for the Detroit Red Wings. They actually do start a 3-game homestand against Toronto. Then they play the Capitals Sunday, December 29th at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Tuesday, December 31st against the Pittsburgh Penguins at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So round of 2024, closing out the homestand right there. And then Thursday, January 2nd, they head to Columbus to face the Blue Jackets at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, they'll meet in the Stadium Series. And then Saturday, January 4th, they head to Winnipeg to face the Jets at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. But Red Wings, Maple Leafs, so far the home team has won one of these meets, and so the Red Wings will look to get a win over the Toronto Maple Leafs in Tom McCullough's coaching debut, but it's going to be tough because the Maple Leafs, great team to watch. Red Wings, kind of slumping, so we'll see what happens in that game. All right, take a look at the NHL games on the slate for today. So the Chicago Blackhawks head to Buffalo to play the Sabres. Final game of a 3-game road trip for the Chicago Blackhawks. And they'll play at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on ESPN2. And the Sabres won the first meeting back in Chicago on October 19th by a score of 4-2. So they hope to sweep the season series. And the Maple Leafs, they play Detroit Red Wings at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, that'll be Todd McCullough's coaching debut. And like I mentioned before, the home team has won the last 2 meetings. So the Maple Leafs won against the Red Wings 3-1 back at Scotiabank Arena on November 8th. Red Wings won 4-2 at Little Caesars Arena back on December 14th. And the final meeting between the two teams is on April 17th at Scotiabank Arena. And then we got the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the New Jersey Devils at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. First of a back-to-back home set between the two teams. The home teams have won the first 2 meets by a score of 4-2. So the Hurricanes won 4-2 at PNC Arena, or as it's now called, the Novo Center, back on October 15th. And the Devils won 4-2 at Prudential Center back on November 21st. Then the Boston Bruins will head to Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. First of a back-to-back home set between the two teams. Blue Jackets took the first meeting at TD Garden on November 18th by a score of 5-1. So the Bruins will look to answer back with a win over the Blue Jackets at Nationwide Arena. And then we got the Nashville Predators taking on the St. Louis Blues at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. First time that these two teams will be squaring off this season. And then we got the Minnesota Wild taking on the Dallas Stars, another Central Division showdown right there at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Second of 4 meetings between the two teams. Stars won the first meeting 2-1 at XL Energy Center in St. Paul back on November 16th. And then we got the Colorado Avalanche taking on Utah Hockey Club at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So second game coming on ESPN2 at the Chicago Blackhawks and Buffalo Sabres game. The road team has won the first 2 meetings. So the Avalanche won 5-1 at the Delta Center back on October 24th. And Utah Hockey Club won 4-1 at Ball Arena back on December 12th. And so this will be the final meeting between these two teams. And then we got the VGK Vegas Golden Knights taking on the San Jose Sharks at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. So a Pacific Division showdown right there. And start of a 6-game homestand for the San Jose Sharks. Second of 3 meets between the two teams. The Golden Knights won the first meet 7-3 at T-Mobile Arena back on October 26th. Their final meeting is on January 7th at the SAP Center. Hockey Night of Canada games, because of course all hockey fans, whether you're Canadian or not, looks forward to these games. And so for Saturday, all 7 Canadian NHL teams will be in action. So it'll be the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Florida Panthers at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time, followed by the Seattle Kraken taking on the Vancouver Canucks at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Of course, the Kraken have lost all their games so far during their road trip, and they look to get a win in Vancouver. Then we got the Edmonton Oilers taking on the LA Kings at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Then we got the Washington Capitals taking on Toronto Maple Leafs at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on NHL Network for U.S. residents. And then we got the Ottawa Senators taking on the Winnipeg Jets at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And then we got the Calgary Flames taking on the San Jose Sharks at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Time. And for the World Junior games that are coming on the slate for today, Team Slovakia will face Team Switzerland at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time, followed by Team Finland taking on Team Germany at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, and Team Kazakhstan taking on Team Sweden at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This will air on TSN at 4 o'clock p.m. Central Time, and then at 10 o'clock p.m. Central Time on NHL Network. And then we got Team Canada taking on Team Latvia at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for this episode of the Hockey Talk TG podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in as always. Really do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. God first as always. Be blessed. Enjoy the World Juniors. Of course, the NHL games are back on the slate for today, so lots of hockey to look forward to as always. And I'll see you guys Monday for another episode of the Hockey Talk with TG podcast. Take care.